You're watching OC Sports. From OC Sports, it's Game On. Presented by Straub.
And a very pleasant good evening from the Stan Sheriff Center in Manoa, where it's the regular season finale for the Big West champion Rainbow Wahine as they take on the Gauchos of UC Santa Barbara. And this is Game On, presented by Straub for Rainbow Wahine Volleyball. Hi, everybody. Scott Robbs, Olivia McGill, and Ryan Shoji. And I know, Ryan, you have a few words to say.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to the community and everyone out there for their thoughts and prayers. It's been a pretty tough week with the passing of my dad, but just so incredibly blessed by the outpouring from everybody, friends, family, especially the people of Hilo. Thank you so much for your well wishes.
And we all feel the same way, Ryan.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's get to volleyball now. Let's right away take a look at scores from earlier this weekend in the Big West Conference. Last night in Postseason over Riverside, Long Beach State with the sweep of Cal State Fullerton. And this evening, there you see CSUN wins it in 4. Long Beach State with the sweep. And, of course, UCI and UC Davis are currently still performing on the mainland. The standings, it doesn't really matter. But Hawaii, of course, atop with the 14-1 mark, 21-5 overall. And tonight's opponent, UC Santa Barbara, 8-6 and 17-10 overall. So Hawaii knows they're going to the postseason. We got a chance to talk to the coach and some of the players about their thoughts.
We're not anticipating a thing. We need to take care of what we need to take care of, and that's winning 2 matches. Once we are assured that automatic berth, then we can kind of think about maybe where we're going to go. But up until then, there's no talk about postseason.
I think we're all excited, but a little nervous. You know, you never know where you're going to get sent. And I don't know. I don't know if the coaches are a little nervous too, but they know that we're playing well and that everybody knows that we are good enough to play at that high level and make it, Final Four if we keep playing the way we do and keep elevating our play.
The freshmen don't really know what happens, selection show and stuff. And so you hear all the older people talking about it, and the freshmen are like, what is that? How does that happen? And so right now everyone's trying to guess where we think we're gonna go. It's game time, this is the real deal, and we're not playing conference teams anymore. And I think we've had great preparation, to build up to this. Looking
at some of the teams that are ahead of us in the RPI, I just don't understand it. I really don't. There are teams that we would win 3 straight pretty easily ahead of us in the RPI, but that's not my concern now. Our concern now is just to get into the tournament. I don't think anybody wants to play us first round, second round. They understand how good we are or how good we can be. So, we're just going to, like I say every year, just go where they tell us to go, play who they tell us to play. And it worked last year, and it's going to work this year.
All right, say what? And it's brought to you by First Hawaiian Bank. And just want you guys to kind of give us your thoughts on where you think Hawaii will be set. As we look at the ABC Top 25 poll, you'll see on the left the RPI and then the differential from where the coaches have the teams ranked. And you look at the top 10, and it's relatively close between the rankings and the differential. But then you get to the other the other 10, and Hawaii has the biggest differential, ranked 14th in the country, yet number 36 in the RPI.
And you hear Dave Shoji talking about some of those teams that are questionable. Western Kentucky in there at 16. Hard to believe that they are going to be a team that's higher than Hawaii in the RPI. But again, it's almost like a Ouija board when it comes to the postseason. You don't know what's going to happen and where Hawaii ends up. Last season, the team ending up in Texas A&M. Seasons before that at Washington. I think San Diego might be a place Hawaii could end up, as well as probably maybe UCLA. So a lot of things up in the air, and I think Hawaii is one of those teams that they kind of put a question mark with. Wherever they have a hole, they'll fill them in, either if it's on the West Coast or the East Coast.
Yeah, I totally agree. Last year, going into the tournament, I assumed we were going to go to the West Coast, but then we ended up at Texas A&M. It's really up in the air, and you never know what you're going to get. I mean, it would be nice traveling-wise for them to be at the West Coast because they don't have to do too much more adjusting, and you don't have to miss so much school because that is a big thing for Hawaii in the tournament. So I would like West Coast, but you never know what you're going to get.
See, I'm the opposite. I don't want Hawaii to go to the West Coast because I think a lot of times they don't give enough credit to the West Coast teams, and they boost up those teams in the middle part of the country. Now, unless you get sent to Lincoln, you don't want that. But I wouldn't mind seeing Hawaii go anywhere else but the West Coast. It worked out well for you guys last year, that's for sure. Alrighty, connect with OCSports by liking our fan page on Facebook or via Twitter at OCSports TV or hashtag HawaiiWVB. And don't forget, go to OC Sports Enhance exclusively on Ocean Digital Channels 15 and 1015. Press B on your remote, and when you see the Chevron banner, you can play the Chevron Toy Car Challenge. Select who you think will win the race, and if you choose the right car, you'll be entered to win a $50 Chevron gift card. You can play as often as you want to increase your chances to win, and weekly winners will be announced right here on Game On all season long. And tonight's winner, we say congratulations to Ronald Nagoshi. Congratulations, Ronald.
It's Game On, presented by Strong.
And welcome back to the Stan Sheriff Center, where not only is it the final regular season match for the Rainbow Wahine, it is also senior night. And 4 seniors, of course, will be honored at the conclusion of this one. Let's take a look at Hawaii's senior class. There are 4 of them. Annie Mitchum, Katiana Ponce, of course, out of Honolulu, and the defensive specialist. Annie Mitchum has been both a middle and an outside. Then you got Taylor Higgins, also from Honolulu, the senior setter, and Nikki Taylor. And you look at these 4, and they've spent some serious time in the gyms here in Manoa, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. All of them are really great people. I just want to add that on the side because they're such great players too. But they've been such great teammates to me. And, my juniors last year, that's who they were. So it's, they supported my leadership last year, and it's really nice having people who are like that on the team.
You look at the diversity of this class. All came to Hawaii in different ways. Anna Ponce, a 5th-year senior, redshirting her first year. Annie Mitchum, a transfer. You have Nikki Taylor and Taylor Higgins, who kind of came in together as a package deal after playing college club ball together. So it's been really interesting to see the progression of their careers here together. And the culmination here tonight really will celebrate more than just their accomplishments on the court, but their personalities as well.
You look at Annie Mitchum and you just think to yourself, gosh, wouldn't it have been great if she had been here as a freshman? And then you think, well, we had her for 2 years. It would have been great if she could have stayed healthy. So I think the ceiling's very high for that young lady. I think another Rainbow Wahine whose future's quite bright after playing for Manoa is probably Nikki Taylor.
Yeah, I had a chance to talk with Nikki Taylor about her success as a Rainbow Wahine, and she says, and she attributes much of that success to her foundation in her family and in her faith.
Volleyball started for me when, my older brother started.
Nikki didn't start playing until she was 14, and Josh had already started playing by then. She picked it up, had some fun with it, and found out she had some liking for it, some ability in it.
While she may have followed in the footsteps of her older brother Josh, Nikki Taylor has created a name for herself in the volleyball world. Their parents say that both Nikki and Josh have always been the best of friends and use the sport of volleyball to build a deeper connection. Last season, while rehabbing an injured shoulder in Hawaii, Josh Taylor spent the 2015 season supporting his younger sister.
After matches, we'd be able to sit down with each other and, kind of pick apart my game. We're very good at that, where we can analyze each other's performances. I don't honestly think that I'll ever have a season like that again, where I felt so comfortable and such continual support, and I very much think that it was in congruence with him being there.
That support from her family is something that has been the one constant in Nikki's volleyball career. Beginning in her freshman year, Nikki and her father Graham began gathering outside the Wahine locker room before each match for a pregame prayer.
It's something that we've instilled in my pregame ritual, and it's something that is kind of the most important part of a match for me.
We get back there and we just kind of huddle up together and talk about what she wants to focus on in that game. We're usually praying for strength, for safety, and just certain parts of the game.
You know, I kind of have this moment of humility where I'm like, oh, okay, I'm getting all excited for this match. I'm getting ready, getting in my mindset. And then, you know, abruptly I remember who I play for. And I remember how to tie in my volleyball career back into my relationship with God.
It is that love from her family and their foundation in her faith that has carried Nikki during a career filled with injuries and challenges.
You know, my dad and my brother always tell me that God never puts weak soldiers through hard battles. He always equips his soldiers with, you know, everything that they could ever need in order to overcome something. And he would never put a weak soldier in a hard opportunity to see them fail. And I always kind of hold that on my back if I am going through an injury, if I'm going through a hard time in school, or if I'm going through something hard in my personal life.
What do you think you're going to miss the most about playing here in the Stan Sheriff Center in front of your family and your friends?
I think that's something that just that in itself is what I'm going to miss, is, you know, being surrounded by, you know, watching eyes that are so encouraging. But I also think that I'm going to miss, you know, the friendships that I've made, whether that's with my team or with people that, you know, maybe aren't even athletes.
Watching Nikki play has just been a real joy. Really proud of her, you know. And I'm very happy for her. Having her here at home has just been something so special to us. And we've been really blessed to have that opportunity.
And there was a lot more that the Taylor family shared with me that we weren't able to include in that package, including a matching tattoo that Nikki, Josh, and her dad have on their hand that says Kordev, and it actually means fate. And really, you just have seen the evolution of this young lady out of Kaiser and how much she's been able to accomplish. She's going to go down as one of the most prolific offensive leaders for Hawaii in Rainbow Wahine Volleyball history. And that says a lot, not only the fact because of who she is, but the fact that she's a local girl and she's been able to achieve the high level of success that she has.
Yeah, it's been really fun seeing Nikki, you know, grow up on the volleyball court. I've only known her for a few years, but she's totally just changed as a person and as a player, and she's totally matured. And it's been, I know how special it is to play in front of her family, and it's really nice that she's been able to do that.
You know, one other thing she's done, she's allowed Dave Shoji over the last 4 years to change the way he attacks. I mean, she hits like she plays like the men's game, attacking that D set from the back right. I mean, you look at the greats, and you mentioned, you know, there's so many great players, but she's probably the greatest right side hitter or opposite Hawaii's ever had, because it's always been left side dominated throughout, you know, 39 years or so until she came to Manoa.
Yeah, it's very rare for a player to dictate an offensive system for a Dave Shoji team, and this is a player that has done just that. Up until this point, Hawaii has never utilized the D set until Nikki Taylor. They sort of built this offense that they now run around her, where slide hitters aren't necessarily necessary because you have a high ball attacker on the D ball. So a lot is to be said of the fact that Nikki Taylor has really changed and evolved the offense that this Wahine offense now manages.
And I know Olivia liked that, because you never liked to step out, did you?
Yeah, that wasn't really my hit, you know. Yeah, I injured my quad actually my sophomore year, so I could never hit off one leg. So it was really nice Nikki's able to hit the D ball, and there's no pressure on me to do that. So I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah, and you benefited definitely from that. Alrighty, when we come back, we'll start focusing on tonight's opponent, the Gauchos of UCSB. But it's time now for Remember When, sponsored by Zippy's. In 1989, the Rainbow Wahine beat the Gauchos of UCSB on the road in 5 sets, primarily on the back of one of Hawaii's hitters, who tallied a school record 44 kills. Do you remember who that was? Well, we'll find out when we return to Game On. The 1989 matchup between the Gauchos and the Rainbow Wahine was close until Hawaii won with a 15-2 set 5 blowout. What is most memorable, though, are the 44 kills from outside hitter and All-American T. Williams, a record that still stands. And that's how we remember wins, sponsored by Zippy's, celebrating 50 years. Well, let's now go courtside and get the thoughts on tonight's matchup from the hardest working man in show business, Kanoa Leahy, and the equally hardworking Lisa Strand-Ma'a.
That's right, Lisa, who on whiteout night at the Stan Sheriff Center promises that she did dress for the part.
I brought a sweater as a little, things are heating up in here big time, so I'll put it on in a little bit.
All right, it's Hawaii UCSB. The good news for the Rainbow Wahine is they took care of business the other night against Cal Poly, and so the Big West Championship, that's locked up. The NCAA tournament berth, that's locked up. Now they can focus on hopefully going out with a bang on senior night. But UCSB is a team on the other side that really has nothing to lose, and that's what makes them scary.
Absolutely. This is a very young UC Santa Barbara team, and they've got their butts kicked by Hawaii 3-0, but their team has changed dynamically since these two last met up. And talking with the coach, she knows what they need to do. They need to serve and pass, but they've got their go-to girl back in the lineup in Ruddins, who's been named 6-time Freshman of the Week on the Big West. So they've changed some things up just a little bit.
Yeah, Lindsay Ruddins, who did not play the first time that these two teams met up back on September 23rd in Santa Barbara. You get a look at Nicole Lantane-Welsh in her 4th season. She's done a heck of a job recruiting some talent. They will be without one of their go-to players, though, 6-foot junior Chanel Hoffman, who was the only player in double-figure kills the first time these two teams met up again back on September 23rd. Now you also have the connections, right? UC Santa Barbara happens to be the alma mater of one Dave Shoji.
That's right. Dave Shoji played his days there, and you know, they've had a little bit of a mini rivalry, not so much with the new coach, but remember, Kathy Gregory coached this team for years, and Dave and Kathy would go at it forever. Also celebrating for Dave last night at the 1,200 mark. That's a milestone that's just amazing.
Yeah, they did that too. So it's all about the seniors tonight, and nobody does senior night quite like they do here in the Islands. We'll have first serve for you in a little bit. Let's send it back over to the corner crew.
All right, now for the scouting report, it's brought to you by Bank of Hawaii. Let's take a look at those Gauchos of UCSB.
And you heard Lisa talking about Lindsay Ruddins, another player to watch will be Phoebe Grunt, the senior middle blocker out of California. You can see the numbers on her. She had a great 17 kills against Albany. She will need to be involved in the offense in the middle in order for the Gauchos to have success against Hawaii.
I also want to mention the libero, Amelia Petracci. She leads the conference in digs overall. So, and I remember last year playing against her. She was really impressive. So Hawaii can't expect to, dig every ball. And yeah.
Hawaii's been playing so well ever since that Long Beach State match. It seems like they're at another level. It's important for them to continue that tonight as they prepare for the postseason, because they're not going to play again for like almost 2 weeks.
Yeah, for sure. They need to take this game very seriously, and then after this game, they can have a nice couple, days of rest, and then get back into practice and focus on, the tournament and getting better.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be important for Hawaii to use that momentum to go into the postseason. They seem to be peaking at the right moment, and I think a lot of that is attributed to Annie Mitchum now on the left side, helping to provide that 1-2 punch for Hawaii.
All right, you were in this position just a year ago, being senior night. What is going through the minds of the 4 seniors? What is it like right now for them?
Well, obviously the crowd here is insane already. Like it's full in the stands. So they have you have what comes after in your mind, but they have to focus on the game, and they're going to have a little bit of jitters, but they just have to smile and remember that this is such a special experience, and nowhere else in the country do they get treated like this. So it's really amazing.
You had a senior night as well, Ryan, I remember. That was a little emotional, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was emotional. I think I was the only one that actually shed tears. The players didn't even cry. But yeah, tonight will be important for Hawaii to remember that there's a game before the celebration, and they have to keep to the game plan.
To take care of business tonight, what is the most important thing for Hawaii? Olivia?
I'm going to say diversify the offense. We saw against Cal Poly the middles were not set as much as they should be, and so I hope tonight they're able to diverse offense to work in the tournament.
I would like to see them get a comfortable lead so that they're able to give the opportunity for players like Anna Ponce to get in, for Taylor Higgins to have an opportunity to potentially play in her senior night. So I think really for the team and the starting six, it's really about trying to really dominate in the beginning to create a cushion so that their teammates can get in.
All right, it's the final chance to see the Wahine here at home in the Stan Sheriff Center, at least for this season. When we come back, it'll be Hawaii and UCSB. Let's take a look at highlights, Hawaii and UC Santa Barbara. We start with the Gauchos' outstanding outside hitter, Lindsay Rudditz. She took 68 swings in tonight's match, put down 21 kills, and added 3 aces. Also playing very well, the libero, Emilia Petracci, came away with 25 digs tonight in the four-setter, many of them spectacular. On the other side, for Hawaii, of course, the outside hitter, reigning Big West Conference Player of the Week, Annie Mitchum with 10 kills, an ace, and also had 3 blocks as well. And actually, that is the reigning Big West Conference Player of the Week, Nikki Taylor, in her final match at home. She put on a show, a match high 22 kills at 405, had 3 service aces, and also had 11 digs as Hawaii wraps up the regular season with a win in 4 sets over the Gauchos of UCSB.
From OC Sports, it's the Heineken Post-Game Show.
And welcome back. There you see still a flood of people on the floor here at the Stan Sheriff Center, where, as we say every year in every sport, nobody does it better than the University of Hawaii. All righty, now that the regular season is all out, let's take a look at the, well, I guess, you want to look at the standings? Do you guys want to look at the standings in the Big West Conference to see what the final numbers look like? We know that Hawaii is at the very top of the standings, and it's going to be brought to you by Levitt, Yamani, and Solar. There you go. The final conference standings, Hawaii 15-1 in conference. Their only loss in 5 at Long Beach State, and they finished 22-5 overall. They will be the only team representing, I would imagine, the Big West Conference in the postseason.
Yeah, you know, of course, the team that wins the conference gets the automatic berth. There was some talk that maybe potentially Long Beach State could get in as a potential at-large, but because of those losses that they suffered in the preseason, as well as the conference losses that they had to Irvine, definitely will not allow them likely to make an at-large appearance.
And that's rare because, I mean, the conference at times, a couple of years ago, got 3 teams. And typically you get at least 2 teams in, but I don't know, was the conference down this year? I know the RPI is always hard to distinguish, really hard to understand how they come up with it.
I think, you know, yeah, just one team from the Big West makes sense. If you look at, like, the Pac-12 teams, they usually get at least 6. Like, half the conference goes to the tournament every year. So I guess it's really touch and go, depends on the year.
And, you know, I think overall the Big West started off, there was a lot of hope that this was going to be a year that the Big West was going to make a run and become a more powerhouse conference. But I think that there was a lot of teams, including Hawaii, that suffered a lot of injuries. I mean, you look across the board, a lot of these teams had season-ending injuries that really limited their overall personnel. So, unfortunately, not the ending result that the Big West wanted, but definitely a conference, when you look back at the history of Hawaii, much better than the Western Athletic Conference.
You know, you look back to the beginning of the season, that Wisconsin match, followed by the Kansas State match, and then Hawaii beat Arizona. That was the same weekend, right? Anyway, you look back at that team, and you look at the team they have now, and it's so night and day. I mean, it was amazing that Hawaii was able to even compete with what they had on the floor opening weekend.
Yeah, and you have to look at the fact that Hawaii able to win that match against Arizona with the personnel that they had at the time, with all the injuries that they suffered through. And yeah, you're right. It looks like a night and day, a completely different team, and really just shows the evolution of the team, the leadership of the senior class to really bring them along. And again, the coaching staff, hats off to them for really working with the personnel that they had at the time.
Yeah, the way they finished the season, I think they're totally ready for the tournament. I think this is going to be a few days to rest up, do some rehab, and then, you know, it's back on the road, and they're going to face some tough teams.
last year the Hawaii was in the same situation. Did you like the fact that you had nearly 2 weeks off to get ready for the postseason, or would you wish that maybe it's a little shorter?
I like the time off because you get a reset. You've just had your conference, and then as a senior especially, you're like, wow, I just had senior night, that kind of thing. I just played my last conference match on the road, and then you have to think about, injury-wise and just getting back and getting healthy. So I kind of like the time off. Also getting school figured out because finals are approaching. So now is the time, kind of crunch time for them. They need to figure some things out.
Well, you put the student athlete, right?
I tried anyway. I certainly tried.
Ryan, you've been around this program a long time. You've seen teams succeed and not succeed in the postseason. I was looking up at the banners. Hard to believe 2009, the trip to Florida, was the last time Hawaii's been to the Final Four. What do you see in the future for this team this year? Can they go at least to the Final Four this season?
I think that this is a team that is peaking at the right moment. I think tonight there was a few weaknesses exposed that they're going to have to work, especially when you look at rotation 5 with Annie Mitchum on the left side. That was some weaknesses that they kind of lost some points in, but I think this is a good tune-up. When you look at the overall depth of this team, I think that this is a team that has a lot of potential, mainly because of what Annie Mitchum now provides on the outside, being that offensive option. We said earlier that every team kind of needs a Klay Thompson to Steph Curry, which is Nikki Taylor, and Annie Mitchum providing that extra boost on the outside. And I think that her evolution as the season has progressed has really helped this team. A lot is going to have to depend on where they get seated. I think Hawaii last year benefited from going to Texas A&M and having the teams that they played against, including a great win over Penn State, a very memorable match. But again, a lot of it depends on seeding. But I do think this is a Final Four team.
You probably have the best feel of anything because you were on that team a year ago. What do you think about this team?
I think they're playing really well, and they are super confident, and just the leadership out there is really great. And I think just, depending on where they're seated, that helps a lot. But I'm really excited just to see how they match up with teams that are similar in their size. I think that will be really fun. Let's see them play other good blocking teams and see how they match up.
By the way, for those of you that are curious, a week from tomorrow is the NCAA selection show. So in 8 days or whatever, we'll find out exactly what the fate is for the University of Hawaii. Okay, one last thing I want to ask you guys, because it's brought up every year, and we might as well bring it up. Was this the last time we saw Dave Shoji coach at the Stan Sheriff Center, the Rainbow Wahine? Could it possibly be?
Okay, I'll go. You know what? Part of me is like, this is the group that he's put so much time in, and I could see him retiring, but I'm also like, you might have to take Dave away in a wheelchair kind of thing. He might never leave. You never know. He's been coaching for such a long time and had such great success. It's really up to him at this point.
I think you never really know with Dave Shoji. I think that this is the first year that I've actually heard him say on record a number of times, alluding to the fact that telling people, this is probably my last year, this could be my last year. You look at some of the commitments that he's made. He's no longer telling players that he'll be here, that he's promising anything. You look at the coaching staff personnel. Lindsey Berg said she's only here for 1 year, so if he comes back, he's going to have to find another assistant. Tom Pessalacci going back. There's just a lot of components, I think, that are going to add up to that decision of if he stays or if he doesn't. Who knows? I personally think that this is it for Dave Shoji. I think that this is the final match that he will have here at the Stan Sheriff Center. But again, he's very competitive, and if they don't end the way that he wants them to end, I wouldn't be surprised if we see him back here next year.
Well, let's hear from the man himself, Dave Shoji, and what he has to say.
I am a senior, that's for sure. In more ways than one. I'd like the focus to be on the team right now. And after the season, when it's all over, then I can think about where we're going to be next year.
So in typical Dave Shoji fashion, very vague. Doesn't answer the question on one way or the other, but that is David, and he's not a guy that's going to say 6 months in advance, whatever, I'm stepping away. He'll just quietly fade off into the sunset, work in his garden, paddleboard, and play with his grandkids.
And I remember him saying when I was on the coaching staff that he just didn't want there to be a farewell season. That just was not his style. He said he didn't want to go to other schools and have it be the last time he plays at Long Beach and the last matchup against Jim Alero. He felt like that was going to be too much of a distraction. He also said that he would never want to take away from the seniors on senior night because he knew that there'd be a lot of tension on him. So I think that he's always said that if he decides to retire, and when he decides to retire, it would come in the off season, and could be as simple as a little tweet that he's recently gotten into. But I don't think we'll ever know until, again, the off season.
And whoever, coaches after Dave has huge shoes to fill. So we also have to consider that too. Who's willing to put up, work at a place where someone's established this culture that's so ingrained in the community? Who's willing to step up and do something like that? You also have to think about
let's
that.
hope there are 6 more matches remaining for Dave Shoji. That takes place. That means Hawaii would be playing for a national championship. Guys, gals, thank you so much. Appreciate it. That'll be it for us here this evening, where we remind you to take your sporting passion to the next level online at OCSports.tv and on Oceanic Time Warner Cable with OC Sports Enhanced. Be a fan, and mahalo for making University of Hawaii sports your passion. For our outstanding award-winning crew, for Olivia, for Ryan, I'm Scott. Until next time, we bid you aloha and a good evening from the Stan Sheriff Center in Manoa.